An economic conflict between China and the United States has been ongoing since January 2018, when U.S. President Donald Trump began setting tariffs and other trade barriers on China with the goal of forcing it to make changes to what the U.S. says are long-standing unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft. The first Trump administration stated that these practices may contribute to the U.S. China trade deficit and that the Chinese government requires transfer of American technology to China. In response to U.S. trade measures, the Chinese government accused the Trump administration of engaging in nationalist protectionism and took retaliatory action. After the trade war escalated through 2019, in January 2020 the two sides reached a tense Phase 1 agreement. By the end of Trump's first presidency, the trade war was widely characterized as a failure for the United States. The Joe Biden administration kept the tariffs in place and added additional levies on Chinese goods such as electric vehicles and solar panels. In 2024, the Trump presidential campaign proposed a 60% tariff on Chinese goods. On February 1, 2025, the Trump administration increased tariffs on China by 10%, while on March 4, the administration raised them by another 10%. On March 10, China imposed a 15% tariffs on American goods, including agricultural goods. Since February 2025, the Trump administration imposed a total of 20% tariffs on China, with the Chinese government imposing 15% tariffs on the United States. The U.S.'s domestic production is less than its domestic consumption. Its imports therefore exceed its exports, and its current account is in deficit. Continuing through at least 2024, the global current account deficit is almost entirely composed of the U.S. Conversely, China's domestic production is greater than its domestic consumption. Its exports therefore exceed its imports, and its current account is in surplus. Its share of the global trade surplus increased rapidly after China's joining the World Trade Organization in 2001. As of at least 2024, the global current account surplus is largely composed of China, Europe, and the Middle East. Since the 1980s, Trump had advocated tariffs to eliminate the U.S. trade deficit and promote domestic manufacturing, saying the country was being ripped off by its trading partners. Imposing tariffs became a major plank of his presidential campaign. Nearly all economists who responded to surveys conducted by the Associated Press and Reuters said Trump's tariffs would do more harm than good to the American economy, and some economists advocated alternate means to address trade deficits with China. The volume of trade in goods between the U.S. and China has grown rapidly since the beginning of China's economic reforms in the late 1970s. The growth of trade accelerated after China's entry into the World Trade Organization, WTO, in 2001, with the U.S. and China becoming one another's most